Perfect. San Francisco karaoke night. I'm your host, Manny Pacquiao. First of all, shout out to Disher Sound for hosting us. Clap it up for them. This is the man. Thank you. We're about to hear all of your mistakes in your music. So all those little things you did in there that you were like, oh, it sounds fine. I'm just gonna keep that vinyl crackle. It's cool. It's like vintage. No. And so this is San Francisco is sort of becoming like a home for this, a staple. You know, you guys always show out when you come through, so I'm really excited about tonight. And again, I'm doing this again tomorrow evening. That's crazy because you were just fucking around just now, but like it was still good. Like,
I think the main thing for me right now is time and making the time to dedicate to it. Just being around all you guys is like super helpful.
Hell yeah.
You know, and he mentioned beat culture. You know, there's a you know, we have beat ciphers in Oakland that I go to. Just I don't even play shit. I just sit there and listen.
Just like starting here. Like I mean, this room right here is an amazing starting point. And you know, ultimately like the Jids of the world and the Drakes of the world, whoever you want to work with, like. You want to build up to the point where you're giving them a reason to want to work with you. The cold calling and the shoot your shot DM thing, yeah, does it work? Has it worked in the past? Yes. But for like 0.01% of people, you know, so if you can try it, but you know, you don't want to bank on that method. So like it always comes down to giving people a reason, and you got to start somewhere. So like I always say, start with your peers, and like this room is like filled with your peers. So like I feel like you can fuck with the licensing stuff too. Yeah. Like yeah, that beat was like, so what was that like vocal from? Like was that your vocal? Like
no,
what was that?
That's all from Thuggish Ruggish Bone.
Oh shit.
Wow. And I named it Shatasha because that's the singer on the song. I named it Shatasha.
Oh, okay. Play those keys?
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Just use it on my phone, basically.
You made that on your phone?
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow. Damn. What? You know what's amazing about that? Like that's the kind of drive and mentality you need to have.
Yeah.
To really, you know, like make something happen. I like your flow. How long have you been rapping?
About 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, really cool. So how long did it take you to make that song?
I wrote my verse when I heard the beat, and I thought of the concept. It took me maybe about like 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And do you memorize your lyrics before you go in and record?
Sometimes.
Not
always. Sometimes if I'm super eager, I'll just
read it off, lay it down. Yeah. Yeah. I'm always gonna be a fan of memorize.
Yeah.
Or have you released music yet?
Yeah.
As an artist?
Yes.
We just released one today, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it on all platforms?
Not from mine.
How active are you on social media, like Instagram and stuff like that?
Posting wise, not super active. You know, I scroll every now and then I try and post. I try and keep it daily. It doesn't always happen like that, but every other day or so.
Right. And is this full time, part time?
Right now it's part time.
Part time?
Yeah.
Right.
I want to make it full time.
Yeah. It's tough because like a lot of this stuff is stuff I talk about on my podcast that none of you guys listen to, and my YouTube that none of you guys watch. I almost feel like I'm like repeating myself every time, but like I'm like fuck it, I don't care. But really, I mean, the formula is like kind of simple. It's like just make a ton of music.
Yeah.
And you know, I tell myself if I was an upcoming rapper, the first thing I would do is figure out a way to just make as much music as possible and release as much music as possible. So best case scenario would be I wake up at 7 a.m. every morning and write a song and produce it, or like have someone else produce it, or buy a beat on BeatStars or lease a beat. Something that I can write every day. Because if this is something I want to turn into a career, I have to do it every day. I have to. If I miss a day, like, I mean, no one's perfect, but I have to prioritize this. And then I'll create a post on Instagram, on my IG Live, vertical format, and then for my regular Instagram timeline. And I would do that every day. and then create content around those songs. You know, it's sort of like following the Russ model, which obviously worked for him. That's exactly what I would do. And like, I'm imagining doing it for a year with 300 plus songs released. Bro, trust, like, I'm probably gonna be winning by that point, at some point. You know what I mean? And everyone's got different, you know, situations they have to work around. So you gotta do what works for you. So clap it up for my dudes right here, man. Let's go.
Networking with people and getting to know that artist one-on-one. If they have a vision for a beat and I can send them as much beats as possible and be in the studio with them,
yeah,
that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
so
I love so I've been actually talking about this on my like social media for the past couple weeks about like the art of like overproducing and simple beats and the comparison, and like that's like a really like not super complex, but like that's like a really well done beat. There's change ups and all this stuff. Like I kind of look at that beat, the way it's formatted now, it's like formatted for like a beat battle. You know what I mean? Like you would win a beat battle with that beat, you know, or at least advance. The goal is to like work with artists and stuff, you know, like kind of what we were saying earlier before people came, we were here earlier, you know, being mindful of like knowing, you know, how to format these songs and not over complicate things in certain scenarios. Like you can do stuff like, you can continue to do stuff like this and get super creative, but then also how can you maintain that creativity but then also make your way to the Drakes and the J. Coles or whoever those people on your list are? Because you know, if you were to walk in a room with like Logic, for instance, like knowing him personally, he would hear that and he would probably like think it was good, but the way it's formatted right now, it would be too confusing. Like the change ups, he would probably say, oh, like, you know, and then he would probably say like, go to the next beat, let me hear the next one. You know what I mean? And so like the way Six is his producer, the way he produces very linear, but it's still like really entertaining to listen to. So, you know, from my experience, those are the types of beats that a lot of these rappers out here like enjoy. Or like stuff like that happens. Yeah. It definitely does. And you know, at the end of the day, when you really think about it, like, okay, you invested like 4 hours of your time, right. And you made a song, right. Which is cool, right. And you really have to kind of look at the other side of what happened as opposed to like the frustration. So it's like, when you really think deep about it, like nothing absolutely terrible has happened. Right. Maneuvering without any expectation, you know, because every single person out here is sort of on their own agenda, rightfully so. You know, like I'm not you know, living my life expecting everyone to adjust to my needs. Guys, think about if we all gave without expectation, we'd all be receiving, right. Yeah. And giving. Right. That's what the world would look like. It would be, oh, I'm giving and I'm receiving as well without expectation. So, you know, that's just some like deep shit to like think about. Like it's sort of like a mindset. You know, people consume, and actually, John, if you want to chime into this, you totally can. You don't have to, though. You know, from what I'm seeing, you know, people are consuming music so differently than they did 5, 10, 15 years ago. If you were to promote an EP or an album to a small demographic, like if your fan base online isn't established yet, it's really, you're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot because you're releasing like 5 or 10 songs at one time, and then people see it on your Instagram or your YouTube or hear it on your podcast, and they find out about it, and then a day later the moment is over and they forget about it. You know what I mean? So it only leaves you like 1 or 2 days window of really like creating excitement, especially harder being like, you know, someone who doesn't have a huge following yet. Right. So in order to alleviate that problem, you know, instead of releasing a 5-song EP or a 10-song album, you release 1 song at a time, individual. So if you release a song every Friday, right, if you have a 5-song EP, that gives you 5 Fridays to release music. And then you can create micro content Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to lead up to that Friday song.
The next one.
Build a hype, so that now you're slowly building and you're telling a story.
I think the biggest thing is, regardless of how you release the music, you want to start trying to train monetization in some level early. Whether that's a ticket, a shirt, something.
Right.
Because we're not figuring streaming out anytime soon.
You got a long way to go.
The more places that you have that you can own your fan base, it'll be easier to drive to your shit. We just put out an album from an artist who probably none of you have ever heard of, and it went up to #1 hip hop sales and #12 on all of iTunes, and he charted on Billboard #25 rap albums. But he's a core fan base that he speaks to very directly.
Thank you.
You said building known property? Owned, sorry.
Yeah, you don't rely on anyone for that, right? So like, you don't need a blog to fuck with it. You don't need a DSP to put you on a playlist. You don't need Spotify to like it. You don't need anyone to do anything for you but you.
So I work Monday through Friday. Like, that's my schedule of when I create. I'm like a super early bird, so I'll wake up at like 6 a.m. sometimes 5:30 every morning, and then I'll work till 6 p.m. and then weekends I'm off. So yeah, I mean, that's just like, I'm at that point in my life where like I kind of like set that up for myself, and I've like earned the sort of luxury to do that. I mean, if I were to work weekends and not sleep, would I get more done? Yeah, and I'd be feeling fucked up and tired, and so like I'm kind of at that point. But it's different now. Like I set deadlines for myself, and I have like set schedules, but like some weeks I'll only do beats, and then other weeks I'm working on songs, and then there's some weeks where I don't do shit. It kind of just depends week to week for me. Yeah. So yeah, man, let's definitely keep this going. Like, I want this to be, I don't want this to be the end. I want this to be the beginning of something new and fresh for all of us. So definitely don't forget to email Lyric your Instagram so we can create this chat room. Yeah, man, I'm really proud of you guys. Super stoked to hear more. Keep in touch with me. Email me shit. Keep me up on the progress.